to the Country Watch Political Intelligence Briefing Quick Hits, a weekly briefing of hot stories across the world in brief. I'm Denise Youngblood Coleman, and I'm the Editor-in-Chief and Senior International Affairs Analyst at Country Watch. The featured country in the Political Intelligence Briefing is the United States. On January 3rd, the Washington Post published an audio recording of President Donald Trump pressuring Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, to find votes to help him overturn that state's election results. During the hour-long telephone call on January the 2nd, Trump expressed several baseless theories about election fraud in Georgia, including false claims of shredded ballots in Georgia's Fulton County and specious allegations about Dominion voting machines. Perhaps the most disturbing element of President Trump's pressure campaign came when he expressly called for Georgia's election officials to find him the votes needed to overturn that state's election results. Trump is heard on the audio recording stating, "So look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state." In fact, the state of Georgia was won by President-elect Joe Biden. The votes were counted, recounted, rechecked, certified, and withstood legal challenges. Indeed, as Raffensperger and other election officials in Georgia have repeatedly declared, the state of Georgia was legitimately won by Joe Biden, and the state's electoral votes were rightly awarded to the president-elect. Another concerning moment occurred when Trump urged Raffensperger to recalculate Georgia's election results to show that he won. He said, "And there's nothing wrong with you saying, that you've recalculated." Raffensperger responded, "Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is that the data you have is wrong." At one point, Trump went so far as to issue veiled threats of criminal consequences if Raffensperger and his office general counsel Ryan Germany did not act on his behalf to find him the votes that he wanted. Michael Bromwich, a federal prosecutor in the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York and a former Inspector General for the Department of Justice, warned that compelling election officials to corrupt the integrity of an election could indicate criminal intent and liability. Bromwich tweeted, "Unless there are portions of the tape that somehow negate criminal intent, I just want to find 11,780 votes, and his threats against Raffensperger and his counsel violate 52 U.S. Code Section 20511. His best defense would be insanity." Those are Bromwich's words, not mine. Two major developments on the U.S. political landscape were still to come. First was the matter of control of the U.S. Senate hanging in the balance. As I record this, the people of Georgia have already voted in runoffs to determine the control of the Senate. The Georgia runoffs between incumbent Republican Senator David Perdue and Democrat Jon Ossoff, and incumbent Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler and Democrat Raphael Warnock took place today being January the 5th. Polling data indicated a very close race, with no candidate having a clear advantage. But as I do this video on the night of January the 5th, Democrat Warnock leads the race and appears poised to become the new senator from Georgia. Republican Perdue and Democrat Ossoff are tied in the other race, but with more favorable terrain left in some pockets for Ossoff. It is to be seen how that race will turn out. The next step would be for the electoral votes to be sent in sealed envelopes to Congress in Washington, D.C. On January 6th, at a joint session of Congress presided over by Vice President Mike Pence, the envelopes from all 50 states and the District of Columbia would be opened, and the votes again tallied, with objections potentially to be heard. Several Republicans pledged to challenge the Electoral College vote for President-elect Biden with their objections. While Republicans would not be able to muster enough votes to successfully subvert the will of the voters and vitiate the Electoral College that gave Biden victory, their anticipated objections constituted quite a shift from Democratic norms. An objection would require a simple majority to be upheld and would throw out a state's vote. But without that majority in either chamber, the objection would be disposed of and the vote counted as cast. Because of the composition of Congress, the electoral votes were expected to be counted as intended by each state and the District of Columbia. After the votes were counted, presumably as intended, then Vice President Pence would declare the winner of the election. In the background of these developments was President Trump urging supporters to travel to Washington, D.C. and take to the streets in protests. There were rising fears about potentially violent clashes in the nation's capital as a result. Across the Atlantic in the United Kingdom, where coronavirus was flaring, Prime Minister Boris Johnson warned that stricter COVID-19 restrictions were coming. His administration also touted their plan for aggressive vaccine administration. Moving east across the Channel to France, one could not say that there had been an aggressive effort at COVID-19 vaccination. In fact, many French people appeared to be vaccine skeptics. According to data by Ipsos Global Advisor, only 40% of French respondents said that they would take the vaccine. French President Emmanuel Macron appeared to be taking a strong position, saying, "I will not allow an unjustified slowness to set in without good reason." Moving to the Middle East, Israel was leading the world in vaccinations, with developed countries like the United States and France under fire for their slow rate of COVID-19 vaccinations. Israel was presenting the example to the world with its rapid rate of vaccination. Indeed, Israel at the start of 2021 had vaccinated more than 1 million people against coronavirus, the highest rate in the world. Further east, as coronavirus was surging in the world's largest democracy, India, it was preparing to prepare its rollout for COVID-19 vaccination in a plan set for January. The objective was to reach 300 million Indians by August 2021. The vaccines slated for use included the COVID Shield vaccine made by Serum Institute of India in partnership with the pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca, and Covaxin developed by Bharat Biotech in partnership with the Indian Council of Medical Research. As we begin the year 2021, I would be remiss if I did not recommend that people across the world adhere to public health guidance, avoid travel, avoid crowded gatherings, and that means even in your own homes, and wear a mask. For more information about these and other stories, read my weekly political intelligence briefing and my coronavirus report, both of which are accessible from the front page of the Country Watch website at www.countrywatch.com. Thank you for your time, have a great day, and remember that we live in an interconnected world.